Hi everyone, Scrappy Kathy here with another Mixed Media Frenzy. As you know, the team and I are taking on the same sketch each week, and we have a special one, I think, this week. I'm sorry I can't tell you who proposed it to the group, but it's amazing. Very, very complicated. The photo and embellishment cluster here have so many elements that are really that really go together to set off and draw your eye to the photo, which mixed media layouts don't always do. This one I think is amazing. There's this photo and embellishment cluster here, a small embellishment cluster down here, and lots of edging, and there's some texty kind of stuff all around. And so I'm going to work on, it's going to be in two parts, and I am afraid it's probably going to be a little bit long, but let's get started. I'm going to build my background first, and then we'll put that aside and work on the photo cluster and the small embellishment cluster, and then we'll try to put it all together and do some additional embellishing, as I'm sure we will. Okay, for the background, as I mentioned, there's some, well, first of all, I'll tell you the paper I'm using. It's this Vicky Boutin Mixed Media Foundations paper, and this is the cover to it, and I always use this cover. So let me get a sheet torn off. I'll have to cut that edge off. I should have had this torn out beforehand. Little things that we can do to kind of shorten videos, I suppose. Little insignificant things that shouldn't necessarily be part of the time that you spend watching this. So I try to be somewhat sensitive to that, and I actually debated whether to put the photo cluster together, but I kind of wanted to go through element by element. Okay, as you can see, this is a plain white amazing sheet of paper. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have a set of mixed media stamps that I use mostly in mixed media. These stamps are very different from ones that I use in card making, for example. And I've got a whole slew of them here. This is by no means all of them, but there are a lot of these little kind of border strips, and some of those look kind of grungy, like the edge that was there. I especially like this one that's kind of ropey, and I've used that one a lot, but that's not what I chose for today. These are, let me see if I have their images. These are, I have no idea where these stamps came from, but one of the things that I did a few years ago when I got my Misty was to remove all rubber stamps or wood stamps, wood block stamps, remove the stamps from those and put them in these clamshell carriers. So you can see that I've got this kind of grungy edge, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and they all kind of give you different effects. And there are some, there's a great ink splatter stamp there, and kind of another stamp. I'll probably use quite a few of these. I'm going to put those here. Another thing I did, I had a set of background stamps, and they were on these foam blocks, and I cut, using just a standard craft knife, I cut my own stamps. And so there's a couple circular elements in that background that kind of look like you laid a coffee cup down. And I've used that technique in quite a few. There are two of them here and a third one here. I'm going to use this. Where is it? These are some open blocks that I haven't cut yet. Where is my... Huh, I have lost the stamp I was going to use, which is this one. I'll have to go hunt for that. But in the meantime, I think this one will work. I hate that. I did my own wood grain, for example. It's all, mixed media quality. I would never use that on a card. Okay, so I'll just kind of put that stamp here in the mix, and we'll go here. I'm going to start by doing the edging around the page, and I'm going to use a variety of colors. It's going to be kind of a blue theme. My photo is of my grandson going down the slide in our backyard pool, back when we had a backyard pool. And we had been with him in Florida, and we took him down to Universal Studios, and we took him to the pool there that had a big slide, and my husband walked up the slide with him, and I was waiting down at the bottom for him to slide down in my arms. He was 4 at the time, and he didn't go, but to explain it, he told my husband, when I'm 5, I'll go down your slide at the pool at home. At our house, we lived right around the corner from him. And so this was when we got back, right when we got back from the trip. He was still 4, hadn't turned 5 yet, and he decided, I'm going to go down the slide. He went down a couple times with his dad and once with me, and then he decided to go by himself. So this is recording the moment that he went down by himself. Okay, big moment in history. He's a big old 15-year-old football player now. But okay, let me start off with this stamp, and I'm going to use this Distress Oxide, and I'll probably be doing some I'll do some double stamping, and I think this color may not be bright enough to do any triple stamping, and I'll do them offset so that it doesn't look like I was trying to match up ends. I'm going to kind of go around with my stamp, and I'll rub it in some cases. I don't want it to look the same, and I can certainly go over some of the areas. This is a Distress Oxide Stormy Sky stamp pad. Okay, so that's the end of that color. Because it's so close to this Faded Jeans color, I may kind of just tap it around a little bit darker color, kind of flipping it around that way. Okay, I'll wipe that one off and put it away, and let me get a thinner image stamp. And I'm going to use that Faded Jeans color again on there. I'll kind of do, I know that over in this corner, there's not the embellishment cluster kind of goes over here. The photo cluster is here. And so these corners, I'm going to kind of, let's say, I'll amp up the stamping and so forth to kind of provide some balance. So what I'm doing here, this has kind of a little fringy edge, and I'm just gonna kind of let it go both ways. And I think that's all I'll do with that stamp. In looking at the original again, I'm seeing that there are some spots and stuff that come out. There's even kind of almost a wood grain look right there. So I have an idea for that. I should use my wood grain stamp, right? Let's see how that might work. I might just do that right now. Okay. And how I do this, how I work with this stamp, is to ink it up. And I'm going to use that Stormy Sky color because I don't want this to be really reaching out there and grabbing you. So I'll just kind of stick that there. And I think the photo cluster, the size of the photo cluster will kind of come down, and I'm going to turn this around so it doesn't look like a little fence going across there. Okay, I like that. Let me do this, and maybe I'll kind of scooch it down a little bit. And one more. And I may just kind of go like that. Okay, I'm done with that. This one's not so important to wipe off. I'll just kind of toss that aside. Okay, now I'm going to go over things with a darker color using a really thin line. I'm going to do Blueprint Sketch, and I'm going to kind of stick it in here between those guys. It just adds another kind of sketchy line to the mix, and it's in a different color, so it really stands out. I'm going to use this Blueprint Sketch to do the texty stuff too. I'll probably use a combination of it and Emerald Lagoon. Since it's about swimming, I'm kind of all about the lagoon reference. Let me another bit up here, and then do that. I'll get some on the other side. I will have some black in here as well. Sometimes I'll overlap it and I'll kind of stick it at an angle. Okay. I'm not quite finished putting lines on. Actually I'm going to use that same stamp, and I'm going to add in some Emerald Lagoon. Maybe not everywhere, but I'll kind of drag it, and it'll give it a different look. It doesn't give it the thin line look when you drag it. It kind of spreads it out a bit, and that really brightens it up, right? Okay, I'm debating about what color to ink the edges with, and this one kind of might be sneaking up into the running. I love this color, and it looks great with all these kind of gray blues. Okay, maybe we're done with the frame, and let's get busy on the texty stuff. Okay, I said I was going to use Blueprint Sketch, and I will. What I do with this giant stamp, I have never used it by inking the whole stamp, but I'll ink parts of it, and as you can see, I've done several different inks that have kind of stuck. This was a nice white rubber when we started. So what I'm going to do is, I know that in the original there's some texty stuff up here in this corner and down on top of the fence part underneath the photo cluster. Let me just get a size idea of my photo cluster. This is kind of where it's going to be. So I'd say kind of right in there would be a good place to do some stamping. So let's see, here's some texty stuff that might work in the corner. So let me ink that up. And I'm just going to kind of, I'll show you. I'm going to hold it like this, where I, hold it in my two fingers and kind of just roll it over the paper. So it kind of just comes out irregularly, shall we say. I'm going to ink up a different part of the stamp for under the photo cluster. I'm going to kind of hold it like that again and do it like this. There we go. And it's upside down, and that's great. Again, something that I'm okay with. Let me do a little of that, kind of really get it overlapping there and there. Okay, enough with the texty parts. Now we're going to do some splashes, some of them stamped, some of them actually splashed. Let me get my smaller, let's see, where's my splat? There's my splat right here. And I'm going to do some different color splats around. Where's my original again? There are a few kind of out here, a few around this cluster. So I'm just going to kind of stick one there and one there. And I'm going to overlap that with some faded jeans that I put right on the same stamp, and it gives it a completely different look. There, and I'll put one there. I don't know if that's actually going to show, but we'll see, won't we? Okay, let me do some black on here as well. And I'm going to maybe kind of go there with the black and kind of do it lightly. I didn't ink it a lot so that it's gray. That's how I achieve gray. Let me maybe do one there. Okay, so we've got those fake splats. There was another stamp in here that I liked. Let me try it, and I'm going to use the blueprint sketch on it. And I'll maybe add it as a third element there. It's almost like a checkered splat. It's a kind of a different look. I've already got one there. Let me maybe add one down in here. Okay, so I've got hints of splats in places. Wash these and get them back on the board. Okay, now I've got my handmade stamp that in the original kind of goes off to the side of the, there are two of them. that kind of go off to the side of the photo cluster, and then another one down here. And I'm going to use black on this, and it will go on unevenly. I kind of know that about this stamp, and that's actually kind of what I want here, and I want it to kind of overlap and distress, add some distress look to the splats. I'm going to put another one kind of right here, and then I'll do another one kind of over here. And we're nearing the end of the background, and I'm hoping that the rest of it doesn't really take as long as I fear it will. Okay, what I'm doing here are some real splats with tinsel, Heidi Swapp Color Shine. I'm gonna kind of put these things all over. I've also got some Blueprint Sketch Distress Stain, and I haven't opened it. So I'm going to say we're not going to use that. I will tell you what I will do, though, is I will spread some Blueprint Sketch on my craft mat, spritz it up with water, get some on my paintbrush, and splat it all over the place. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to add in this Mermaid Lagoon over here and maybe blend those together. Use some just plain Mermaid Lagoon. It will be on the same brush as the other. So I'm kind of splashing this up, and I'm realizing that some of this may end up getting covered up. I haven't gotten a really good okay, now I'm going to call the background done, and I will start building the clusters while this dries. And whatever I can't do in the way of, placing embellishments around the clusters, I will, whatever I can't do, then I'll do no matter how wet or dry this background is. So here's my background. I'm sorry for the light. It doesn't seem to be helping. I hope for a new light soon. I ordered it and paid for it and have received no shipping notice. So we'll see. Okay, let's go with the photo cluster. And I'm going to put the original here close by. What I noticed in the original is that there appear to be some acrylic overlays that have kind of grungy edges. I actually had some just like that a while back, and I've used them. So mine don't have grungy edges, but they do have borders that will kind of reflect some of the colors that I'm planning to use. I've done this kind of torn notebook paper look, and I've got this scallop element there. I've got a couple tags. One thing that I want to do, this is one of my tags, and I don't like that bright white look there. So I'm going to ink up this text on this stamp. And I'm going to press the tag down on it. Okay, that gives me kind of, I didn't do it straight, but it should be okay. I don't think anything here is expected to be perfect. While I have that inked up, I have this scrap. I don't know which side to use it on. It's Bo Bunny double dot paper, and it's got kind of it's just a perfect color blue, and it robin's egg blue, I guess there is, and kind of a craft or gold, depending on how you look at it. There's a dot on this side, and then there's a kind of a filigree. So I'm going to go with the dot side because I think the text might show better. Okay, that's good. It's not very heavily inked, so it's not heavy printing on there. So I may be putting that aside. I've got these two tags, and I'm not going to put any ribbons through them. There's another circular element. I have cut this out of I think it was a Project Life card. I'm going to ink it up to get it kind of, again, away from that bright white, and I'm doing this stupidly, shall we say. Let me get, I'm just going to kind of smear that around. And I've got a smaller one here. Let me do this. I actually brought a foam inker here. I don't know why I'm not using it. But fingers are always the best. These were cut from this die. There's a third circular die there, and it gives you these little extra pieces, these circles that you punch those little bits out of, and those little bits may come in handy. We'll kind of have to see about that. I'm going to also do a little bit of black inking on here, maybe kind of like, I'm just kind of pressing it on there like this. And of course I'm getting ink all over my hands, and that's okay because even if it comes off on my layout, it's grungy mixed media. So I've taken a bright, summery, springtime swimming photo, and I'm doing it in a grunge style, which is a little unusual for me. I just found this other scrap of paper that's going to be down here in this cluster, and I want the same or similar stamping on it. So there, I've done that. And while I'm at it, let me get some more on here and get it all the way to the ends. Okay, again, not real vivid, and that's kind of what I had in mind. Okay, I think I'm going to put my inks away. I might actually pull a baby wipe to clean my fingers just for the heck of it. Put that back over there, and the big thing I don't want to get ink on is the photo. So let's go. Let's go with this idea. Okay, I have, just to kind of give you, this is the order I kind of want things in. I noticed in here, there's the photo, a dark layer. So I've got that black layer. Then there appears to be a newsprinted layer. I'm gonna skip that. There looks like a framed framed acrylic overlay and two grungy overlays. I have this framed one that says Celebrate Today, and it's got a good color blue, so I can kind of do this. I'm covering those words, but I will let this red show through there. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the red here and let the black show through because the black looks better with that blue. Okay, the red doesn't look bad next to the blue, but I don't like it showing up through it. Okay, so here's a black bordered acrylic overlay. Here is a red one. They both have words on them that I can live without. And then I've got this amazing overlay that you may not be able to see. It was a layered thing. I think it was Fancy Pants or Row Bunny, and it goes back to probably 2008. There's a little cat here, some grungy looking stuff, some stuff, and it says dormir, sleepyhead. So nothing that particularly applies to the photo, but I like the scalloped edge of the overlay, and I kind of want the little cat showing, and I'll layer some of those circular elements underneath that cat. So I'm going to go with this, and how I'm going to work it, I don't have where did my tiny attacher go? That would be the ideal way to hold this together. But in the absence of a tiny attacher, actually there's some layers that need to go through there first. Where did okay, the tags kind of can be inserted here. And I'm going to kind of put them at slight angles. I had that's not what I'm looking for. I had a piece of notebook, like torn notebook paper, and it's apparently gone from the table. So what I'll do is, while I'm off camera, I'll find it or make another one and insert it. I've covered it here. This goes, it looks like they've run it right under the photo. So I'm going to do that as well and have it kind of come out there. There's also a scalloped bit that shows kind of right over in here. I'm going to cut this. This is from the Vicki Boutin Wildflower and Honey collection, and I have been hoarding it, I will admit that. Let me kind of layer this that way, and I'm using the term layering loosely because I really haven't attached this. Get that attached, and I've got a clip to hold the photo onto that red background. Let me glue things, and I'm using the my liquid glue because the finishes on some of these things are not conducive to long-term hold with other adhesives. I feel they're kind of shiny and okay. I'm just kind of placing this for future reference. I'll move that up a bit. I haven't got a lot of that showing, and I may stick some out the other side. So the acrylic I was afraid might not hold with anything other than liquid glue. So let me kind of glue it down here where it doesn't show. I'll do the same for the red, or the coral, or it's kind of an orangey color, but it's exactly the color of that paper, which I had just been working with fussy cutting flowers from. Okay, I might let the sleepyhead part kind of just show through these other bits, and let me go again. I'm dedicating this year to using things I have hoarded. There is let me get the photo clipped to the red. I've got this clip and I've got this one. That's the wrong color. This one kind of has all colors, but it sort of needs to be a little bit grunged up. So I'm going to kind of ink it that way. I think that white part will go under the photo, but we'll see. Okay, let me now kind of clip it on here, and then when I see the position that I'm clipping it on, then I'll add glue. Okay, that works perfectly. Now I'm ready to add glue. Okay. I'll go here. Let me cut some more of this honeycomb and have it coming out the other side as well. There's a lot of black in this part, so I'll kind of stick that back there. I'm going to put this in there. Okay, now this is my finished photo cluster, and it's looking like the blues are a little bit greener here than in the background. So we'll see how that works. If that is truly the case, and if that bothers me. Okay, there's how that will go. I'm actually not minding it too much. I will continue reinforcing that color by with these tags that are going to kind of get inserted there. Okay, there we go. And I've got this piece of scrap paper, torn scrap paper, that I can use my tape adhesive to kind of put that on here. I don't want to cover the kitty cat. I've got my circles, bits of my circles are showing. I can add this circle maybe right under the cat, under the overlay that has the cat, and it will show, and so will the cat, and I'll have the grayish blue showing. And then the next thing on the original are these kind of dimensional circle elements, and I've got a couple of gears that I thought I'd use for that, and there's enough space in the center that I can actually add a foam dot and kind of overlay this way, and then I'll kind of put the black one in underneath the cluster, but they will overlap one another, and this black one will kind of serve to hold up that one. And there are some cascading leaves. And I had some cascading leaves just like that in a Paige Evans kit, but I've used them all. So I have these from a Vicky Bouton kit. And I'm going to determine for myself whether I need one or both or none. I may just say, well, actually that adds some nice green to the layout. And I kind of like it. It's the reason the designer did that, I guess. Let me kind of cut this one like this, and then I can stick it kind of like this underneath, and it's not as long. I don't have to have two long cascades. Okay, next thing, the last remaining thing is I've got the tags. Let's see what we do with these tags. They were to be kind of layered up under here. I'm going to do that. I'll layer them upon them each other. Okay, there. And then this needs to go across. Let's go, do I want them under that and therefore under this guy? I'd really like for not much of them to be showing. So let me cut them shorter. I've still got not quite enough adhesive. So let me go kind of stick these under the red and then under this honeycomb scallop. The glue on it is already stuck to the layer underneath. So let me do this. And now I'll put this back and let it stick to the tags. Okay, the tags are in there. I've got all my acrylic layers, overlays showing. I've got to do my my little piece down here. I'm going to make this smaller because it's the wrong size for this area. I'm going to prop it up on some foam. And here's where there's a little, in the original, there's a flower I'm going to skip, this round element and this, the gear, so, or the circle element that I'm going to create with a gear. Let me get my little film strip. I'm going to cut it fairly short and kind of glue it down underneath that. That's why I popped that up. I wanted it kind of coming up from there because it really adds kind of a distress kind of element to the to that cluster. I'm gonna put this right here, and then as a nod to the fact that this is a little boy we're talking about, I'm going to take something from this Echo Park Imagine That collection. It's a chipboard shark, and I thought this shark would be really cool, kind of right there. And it's not, it doesn't quote unquote go with anything here. It's not grungy, but it is childlike, and he is a child. So I'm replacing the flower with that. And let's see what else I might want to add here. I've got a few things. Let me see if there's anything else. This doesn't really have anything. I also pulled out, and I thought about using as a layer this star paper, but it's white with black. It was going to be hard to kind of grunge it up a bit, but I do like this clear star sticker and thought it might look nice up in that corner. And I've got this sticker that says "On Top of the World," and I thought if I could put it here kind of layered underneath, well, I'll need to pull that back out. The glue is still wet, so it's gonna move around. I'm wondering if those words will show. But that could be my title, "On Top of the World," because it really is true that he was on top of the world when he finally worked up the courage to do that. And you know what? I'm not seeing the words, so that's not going to work. Okay, let me see what else I have for a title. I've got "Be Awesome." So that could go right there. It's kind of big. Let me go with "Fun Times." I'm going to do the fun on top of the... Okay, it told me where it wanted to stick itself, and once it's on a photo, it's not going to move. So fun goes there, and times will go on this guy. Okay, so I think I'm done. I love it. It does not bother me that this aqua is greener than the colors that I have spread about here. I like the shark. I suppose I could do... I could add some of that color because I'm sure I have it somewhere, but I'm happy with it. I might add this little circle element over here because it seems like that might be a nice addition to that cluster. Okay, so there it is. Sorry for how long it took, but this is kind of, for me, a way to show how you build something up. This was frankly intimidating to me. I was not sure I could work all this in, but I think I've actually captured the elements that meant the most to me, and I think I'm really happy with the layout. So thanks for watching. Appreciate all of your support, and hopefully we'll go a little bit faster next time.